about roster moves. Sometimes you make tough decisions, whether it's cuts or going with starters. You can have ideas in the offseason, but have you had situations similar to this? Maybe not trades, obviously, but where maybe you go in a different direction game week or right before game week? Or do you try to avoid something like that?
I think you always try to avoid it, but it is inevitable. I mean, we got guys changing every day. We always try to develop guys, and in the summer, you kind of project. You see guys we talk about in shorts and tennis shoes, playing skill, and you're saying, hey, these guys are ready. Then really, when you put the pads on, they're quite not ready. So you may have to go a little bit of a different direction. And look, we kind of facing this now. We get started for game week, and we have some tough decisions we got to make because we can't travel everybody. You can't play everybody. So some of the guys got to go on the scout team, and they got to keep working, and then we got to work the guys that's going to travel. So I think it is a little bit similar, but we can't go pluck anybody off the waiver wire or make a trade,
I think the other thing that's interesting, too, you saying waiver wire, make a trade, have you, like other coaches we've spoken to today, have to either adapt or look at transfers and what you can do with that aspect of it as to either supplement or expect maybe other teams coming for your players? That's changed the last couple of years, huh?
It definitely has changed, and from our end, we've always benefited from getting some guys to transfer down. The way the rules were set up when you transfer from FBS to FCS, we benefited from that. But now that you can transfer across the board, parallel, or even move up, it's impacted us. And we've got some people who are looking at our team. I always say that's a compliment to the coaches on this staff and the recruiting and how they develop players. And now guys are moving up. And I think the impact part for us is the other way. We won't get as many players to come down because they'll be gone from one FBS school to another FBS school, so to speak. So this could be a little bit tougher. I think we're going to have to make our living, and we've talked about that as a staff, getting those high school guys to commit to us and develop them. But then guys just say, well, you're going to be facing the problem in 2 years again if you develop them and they're good players, but so be it. We'll take them for those 2 years.
Yeah, no doubt, and I think it's going to continue to. That's what this game is, right, Coach? I mean, you have to adapt, whether it's the rules on offense, seeing it be more of a passing game, things of that nature. And we talk about it all the time. If you can't adapt, it's going to be hard for you to get wins. How do you look at the conference? I just asked Coach Selfo that, and he said it was loaded and balanced.
Yeah, we talk about change is inevitable, right? And if you don't adjust nowadays, you are definitely going to get left behind, whether you agree with it or not. I'm sure some of our players don't agree with some of the things that we do, but you have to change and you have to adapt. And same thing was happening with the schools in our conference. We had lost some teams. They were moving to another conference. We gained them back. It's changing every day. I think our conference right now is as strong as it's ever been, like the direction that we're going.
All right, now it's about the season, though, right, Coach? And it's about the players you get out there. And I know, obviously, getting leadership and stability at certain positions is key here as well. I really liked in hearing from you, starting quarterback, and just he looks like a guy that really is, a guy that wants to continue this sort of tradition of QBs and offensive level that you've had over there.
I've said this, too, and Cohen Grenier said it at the media day on the stage, and I was really proud of him when he said he's been waiting for this time, and he's deserved it. He earned it. He stuck with us. He stayed in here and battled through injuries and battled behind a couple good quarterbacks. He won the job, and he's ready to drive the ship now. He's ready to be the captain of it. He's mature. He's developed. The guys rally around him. I'm looking forward to an exciting year from him.
What would you say are I guess, strengths from Cohen that you think can really push this offense to that level?
Well, when you look at how he has matured over the last couple of years, he's really, really grown. He's got a lot of patience. He's always had the work ethic, but he's putting a lot more time, I think, into the film room and into study. Him and Coach Rob Christoffel are now, on the same page. You got to think about this too. When you're the backup quarterback, and let's face it, that's what he was, but behind Chase, and then it became behind Lindsey. It's you're in those meetings all the time, but you're not the guy. Now he is the guy, and they're on the same page and knowing coverages and reading defenses and getting us in the right checks. He's really grown in that area.
All right, Coach, the rest of that, look, I know there's a lot of people following Deshaun Dixon. Obviously, it's cut day here today. A lot of people have been impressed that have covered him over at practice, and we'll see if he makes the team, if not the practice squad. But it was nice to sort of see that transition, what he's done with you guys here as well. How are your skill position levels this year?
Yeah, well, you can never replace a guy like number 5 who was out there and the things that he is going to He made the play calling a little bit easier also. But, he also benefited from a good, strong running game, which we had, and I think we're going to have that again this year. And we go really, really deep with all of our running backs. I like the direction of our offensive line. And you know this, if you can be able to run the football, you can single up some guys on that outside because you're going to force them to put some guys in the box. And then I feel good about our wideouts, Dontre Davis, KJ Franklin, David Robinson. I got some good young guys that's going to get in the mix, Danye Brooks and Terry Matthews. So some of those guys, I feel good about our position out wide.
How about on the defensive side of the ball? Got to make some stops at some point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In today's game, I don't care about how many first downs or how many yards they got, right? You got to try to get a stop and get another possession back for your offense. I mean, that's where the game is going. And I like the defensive side of the ball. I think we got some guys that can really, really run. We're physical. Up front, we got some guys that have played significant, important games for us over the last 2 years. When you look at Perry Gansey, Glenn Thurman, Jamarian James, Elijah Reams, and then I got some young guys we're going to throw in the mix too. We talk about a young Alex Villavasto, Dylan Davis, Linus Noel. We got some guys that can play up front, and that's going to help our linebackers out tremendously.
Coach, when you take a look at opening up here this week, as I mentioned, the first 3 will be on the road, and then you finally get back here at home. The importance, obviously, of good starts, I mean, that's obvious, but South Alabama, nice opponent to get going here as well. They've been good for a couple of years here.
Very, very talented group. I mean, when you look at them on the hook and well coached, Coach Kane Womack done a great job with them over there. Big, FBS program I'm familiar with, and obviously we went to play them a couple of years ago. Completely different team than they were, a completely different venue. They moved into a new stadium on their campus, right. But we know a little bit about them because of being in the Sun Belt Conference, and familiar with playing the ULMs, the Lafayette's, and those guys. So. Look, we're going to have our work cut. They're very, very talented. They got some big guys up front, and they always have tremendous amount of skilled players. So, for us, we're very, very interested to see, how we stack up, how we're going to be, how we're going to be able to match up front with those guys.
And the key going into Saturday, is it kind of, as I've heard from all the other coaches here as well, you can play and you can kind of get it, but it's kind of, play as the game sort of progresses and adapt, I guess. Is that the biggest key as for week one?
I wasn't listening early. Tell me what Selfo and what Willie Fritz said, man. Give me some advice on what they said about how the game's going to play out.
Be ready to adapt. How about that?
And I would say this too, because when you're going to have some new guys on the field, how they going to adjust to the speed of the game, how they going to adjust when something doesn't go their way. You can come back and practice, and if something goes your way, you can, let's run it again, so you can get it right. Well, you don't have that chance. And I guess the other thing from this side of the ball, and I love you, Gus, you always get me on the coach speak, you know what I mean?
Yes.
The coach talk.
But I look forward to it.
it's the most simple thing is, let's not go out there and beat ourselves.
There it is.
South Alabama's going to beat us. Let them beat us, and let's just line up and try to play the next play.
That's the most aggravating thing, isn't it, Coach? When you know you're a better team, or not even a better team, just to give yourself a chance. And I think as a competitor and even as coaches, you just want to be able to perform what you're capable of performing. And then there's so much into that, though, right? Whether it's being physically ready, mentally ready. We try to, prepare ourselves to have that success. It was funny. I use a lot of my sports background as I have a 5-year-old going into kindergarten now. And I'm like, that's why we drove him there. I try to tell him what's going to be like the next day. I want to have him vision, success and what he's going to see. And at the end of the day, it may or may not work, right? But it's just that day will present its challenge.
Listen,
yeah,
we got some coaches on our staff that has years and years of experience, right? And we try to tell them, this is what we know. This is the experience, man. But guess what? At the end of the day, they're still 18, 19-year-olds.
Yep.
They can make mistakes. Sometimes they're going to know better than you, right? But we got to get used this week, and the next couple weeks try to gel and find out really who we are.
Well, you know what's coming, right? It's the first of many at some point this season. Why'd you do that? I don't know.
Throwing your hands up. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I told you it was coming. I get a few of those with my 5-year-old. Coach, looking forward to it. Thank you again for finding some time, and look forward to talking to you on Tuesdays on the Sports Hangover.
Okay, Gus. Thank you.